gentlemen, and welcome to the Neptune Theater Mystery Hour, where we present a spine-tingling and hair-raising story straight out of the twisted minds and pens of our modern masters of suspense. But first, let's hear a brief word from one of our sponsors. Do you ever suffer from the heartbreak of irregularity? Well, if you do, you're in luck, because relief is only a spoonful away. With Colamint. That's right, Colamint is smooth, delicious, and surprisingly fast-acting. In fact, you'll say it's just what the doctor ordered to get you out of the doldrums and back to being bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. So the next time you suffer from the heartbreak of irregularity, try Colamint. It does the job whenever you can't do yours. Once again for the Neptune Theater Mystery Hour and our featured story, Wicked City Blues.
The name's Mickey Morrison. I'm a Seamus, a gumshoe, a private eye. In a city some would compare to Sodom, Gomorrah, or Cleveland. Here in the Wicked City, nothing is as it seems, and everyone's got a story. This one's mine. It all started a couple of centuries ago last week, with the tiny patter of heels and a knock on the door. It's open.
I'm looking for Mickey Morrison, the private detective.
You got the right place?
Mr. Morrison?
Yeah?
Can you possibly help me?
I don't know. It depends, but anyone who can make Jane Russell look like a Jack Russell certainly gets my attention, Miss.
Blaine. Mrs. Charlotte Blaine.
All right, Mrs. Blaine. What can I do for you?
Well, my trouble all started when I first met Johnny, my husband.
Mm-hmm.
I was working in a small club in a small town.
And now, for your dining and dancing pleasure, the Dewdrop-In presents the musical stylings of the Chattanooga Songbirds.
I've heard it's not that wise to fall for those worldly guys who throw you a line as old as time began. Don't let them have their way, or you let
Excuse me, miss.
Yes?
Hi, D. Ho.
Well,
I've been watching you, and I just wanted to say that I'd rather spend a minute in your shadow than a year with Carmen Miranda and her baracas.
that's quite the compliment. Is this your first time out of the house?
Okay, I'm on the level, believe me. In fact, for all my money, Kate Smith ought to be doing your lawn.
Oh, thank you, Mr. DeMille. I'm sure Kate Smith's got nothing else better to do than steam my underwear. If I were you, buddy, I'd be minding my own maracas.
Okay, sorry. Just wait a minute. You've got me all wrong. Look, my name's Johnny, and all I'm asking for is one dance. So come on. Don't be a killjoy.
All right. But remember, one dance. Johnny, it's more than a sigh that's after a kiss.
It's more than a mister pursuing a miss.
It's greater than flesh,
Deeper than the soul.
unlike some rabbits without self-control. This is love, 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 love. This is love.
Don't call it a night or merely a day. When two get their kicks from all over the hay. This isn't a fling or up in the park that ends with a grope and a toss in the dark. This is la 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 la. This is love. Why else would bells ring in the heart of me when we rendezvous? Why else are you now such a part of me? In all that I am and all that I do, it's more than the ache, the passionate moan, the curse and the hunger we feel when alone. This thing that we have is not an affair, like poodles may have with the leg of a chair. This is la 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 la. This is love. This is love. This isn't a case of fun on the fly, a quick little rumba, a quicker goodbye.
And why?
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 'Cause this is love.
This is love.
I hope you don't mind me saying so, but it sounds like something out of a bad Mickey Rooney flick.
It's more than that, Mr. Morrison.
I'm sure. You're shaking, Mrs. Blaine.
I suppose I am. That's funny, it doesn't seem to be working. Forgive me, Mr. Morrison. Could I trouble you for a light?
Relax, Mrs. Blaine. I don't think you'd want me to do that. The way you're shaking, I just end up lighting your fingers and you end up smoking them. I don't think you'd want that.
I guess not.
Go on with your story.
Well, Johnny was different from all the other guys I'd met. The kind, I mean, that give you the fisheye and paw you like they're testing a melon. So when he popped the question, I said yes. By the time we hit the city, I was Mrs. Johnny Blaine.
Go on.
Well, one day after getting back from some local sightseeing by myself, I noticed a few things missing in our apartment. Like Johnny. But there was this. A letter, which was tacked on the wall.
Do you know if there are any other women that he might have...
No! Johnny would never do that.
Sorry for saying so, Mrs. Blaine, but if it did, it wouldn't be the first time.
bedroom eyes and eager lips that kiss. Each night with you beside me was a pilgrimage to bliss. But nothing in this world is forever. So baby, baby, goodbye. Farewell, velvet touch and wicked arms that cling. Yes, it was very wonderful when ecstasy was king. But now this little party is over. So baby, baby, goodbye. When your luck's this good, call it quits and knock on wood. Yes, that's the golden lesson I have learned. Never overstay game of chance you play, or you might end up getting burned. Goodbye to the way, satisfy and please. Yes, it was more than wonderful when ecstasy was king. But now this little party is over. So baby, baby, goodbye. Goodbye to the waves, you satisfy and please. Yes, it was more than wonderful when ecstasy was king. But now this little party is over. So baby, baby, goodbye. Baby, baby, goodbye.
Whatever happened, Johnny was gone, gone like the wind. And while he left me with some keen memories, you try paying the rent or feeding your stomach on that. I could hear the sound of thunder as the walls of the room began closing in on me. Then the rain began melting the windows. Did Johnny leave me because of something I said or did? Was he sick or crazy? Or maybe he was forced to do what he did and somebody put him up to it. I don't know. He had told me so many different things, from being a professional tennis player to that promise of his that he'd love me forever. I shoved the letter in my purse and walked to the nearest bar. Then I sat myself down and ordered a bottle of gin with my name on it. It was pretty soon after that none of it seemed to matter anymore. Not the letter, not Johnny, not me. It was all a blur as far as I was concerned. Losers don't lose, they just fade away. Choking on booze and turning jaded gray. Losers don't cry when love's urgency cools. They, like me, must drown want you to find my husband.
I can't promise you anything, Mrs. Blaine.
I know. I just thought, perhaps, well, you probably get 100 people a day like me looking for other people who suddenly disappear, don't you?
At least. What happens if you don't like what I come up with, Mrs. Blaine?
Well, then it still doesn't matter because I've got to find the truth. Haven't you ever loved anyone, Mr. Morrison? Loved them so much that you couldn't stop thinking about them or wanting them, even though they may have done something bad to you.
This isn't about me, so let's get that straight.
Then if it's about money, you can take my watch. Here.
I don't want your watch, Mrs. Blaine. I've already got a drawer full of them. Including one I got out of a Cracker Jack box.
Does that mean you're not taking the case?
I didn't say that.
Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Morrison.
Okay. Okay, Mrs. Blaine, consider yourself lucky that my rent's been paid for the month and I'm a sucker for sob stories.
I don't believe that. Thank you, Mr. Morrison.
Save it. We've got a lot of work to do.
Then before we begin, tell me, what chance do you think we have of finding Johnny anyway?
It's hard to say.
He could be anywhere by now, couldn't he? Who knows if he's even in town anymore? And who knows if he's even still...
Pull yourself together, Mrs. Blaine.
I'm sorry, Mr. Morrison. I told myself I wouldn't do this.
Come on, Mrs. Blaine. We're not going to find your husband hanging around here, and besides, I've only got the one handkerchief.
Taxi! Taxi over here, over here!
That's him. I've seen him with Johnny.
Excuse me. Got a minute?
Who's asking?
Just a guy looking for information.
What kind of information? You're a cop.
No,
Private Dick.
that's right.
You listen here, Gumhill, listen good. If you want the dirt, you go dig it up yourself. Ain't no squiller, keep a trap shut. See?
Let's see here. What do you say? I'll owe you one.
What do you want to know?
This face, ever seen it?
Johnny Blaine. Tennis player, likes the skirts. Spends his time smacking around his tennis balls with some of them older rich bras that trot him here.
Know where I can find him?
It's been a while since I've seen him here, but you'll be sure wherever he is, some hot patooties all over him like tulips on a lucky strike, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, swell.
Taxi! Taxi!
Mrs. Blaine.
What was I thinking? I must be the biggest dope in the world.
Mrs. Blaine. She's only a dame, the usual kind, who I won't let finagle me out of my mind. She beckons like Venus, but flytrap does too. And brother, I can tell she's trouble out the wazoo. She may be a dish I've had before, a slam bam, thank you man, show me the door. A night is just fine for these mademoiselles, but any more than that and they hear wedding bells. You know what? We should drop this whole thing. It's only going to get worse from here on out.
No, I still want you to find my husband, Mr. Morrison, and I'll pay you for it once you do. Although I'd appreciate it if you call me Charlotte.
She's only a dame, in lipstick and heels, with a dress that exposes the things it conceals. Her voice is bewitching, it's scotch on the rocks, but she's an invitation to the school of hard knocks.
You know, it's funny, I don't know anything about you at all, do I? Like, do you have a wife? Or kids?
I'm tempted at times to give her a kiss, but I hold back that impulse I try to dismiss. But she's just like a match on a gasoline can. One gather at her lips and I'm only a man. I'm a detective. I get paid to do my job, usually. Sometimes it's clean, sometimes it's dirty. That's about it, plain and simple.
I see.
She's only a dame. By the way, I noticed your shoes.
My shoes? her a gift from a friend.
Could she be the 8-ball I'm getting behind? Or am I just fanning the flame for this day?
I'm suddenly tired and it's been a long day. Why don't I call you tomorrow?
Label me nuts, but I never thought so around with the business I'm in. I'd be a goner, a dick without honor if I acted like some Errol Flynn or for some crazy dame. Oh, that would be lame. But why do my knees turn right into mush the minute I stare at the frame of this dame? Oh, they're all the same. Even you, Mrs. Blaine. A dame is 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 a. Wait a minute. What if she's not the same? Ah, you can't trust them. They're all the same, aren't they? Ah, face it, Morrison. You're stuck on this day. I hit the pavement, looking to track down Johnny Blaine, but I ran into snafus everywhere. I got a million wrong stories and a ton of empty leads, all from people who'd even swipe a diaper off baby snooks. Shut up! Then I got a hot tip from a Jehovah's Witness. He was staying at the Belmont, a hotel for rich women with blue hair and tiny dogs that look like sausages with toenails. Get away from me! Upon informing Mrs. Blaine of her husband's location, she said she'd rather meet with him alone. I figured, case closed. I figured wrong. Upon not receiving the expected phone call from Mrs. Blaine, I decided to give a ring to her husband's hotel room, where the only thing I got was an earful of goose eggs. That's when I got the bright idea to go to the Belmont myself for a look-see. Upon arriving at the hotel, I took the elevator up to the 5th floor. And when I got to room 510, I had company, and plenty of it.
All right. Is anyone dusting for prints, or am I just talking to myself?
Afternoon, Bill. What's the big event?
What are you doing sniffing around here for?
Oh, you know, the usual.
Usual, huh? Like getting in my face and causing trouble. Listen, Mickey, this is my fire hydrant. You go lift your leg somewhere else.
Oh, Lieutenant. Now you've hurt my feelings and I won't be able to sleep at night.
Ask me if I care.
Sure you care. After all, how many friends you still got that come from the old neighborhood?
Oh, about 100! And who needs them anyway?
Oh, so much for the niceties. Who's the stiff in the corner?
Listen, Mickey, if I give you the dope on this guy, will you stay out of my hair?
Like Seabiscuit near a glue factory.
Victim's name is John Blaine. Black male, 35 years old. Death attributed to a well-placed incision across the throat by a sharp instrument.
Any leads? Witnesses?
A few if you count the entire hotel. Seems there was a slight altercation between Blaine and a certain redhead who entered the room at 11 o'clock. The redhead slapped the living daylights out of him like he was a piñata. After that, she entered the room at 11:15 and stormed out. Then Blaine's body was discovered by a maid who entered the room at midnight. You know, incidentally, this redhead, I hear she's nice on the peepers. Anyway, the bellhop, or so he tells me, said she was a tall drink of water with swell gams and draped in some get-up that was tight, like she was dipped in it. You know any dames that might fit that description?
Sure. Try the Rockettes. Maybe they all did it. I have heard dancing in heels is just murder.
Where's the smart guy? You still haven't told me what you're doing here.
I'm on a case.
And is there anything in particular about this case you'd like to tell me about?
Not particularly.
Oh, Mickey. I only hope for your sake you're not holding out any information on me regarding John Blaine over there.
Oh, I wouldn't dream of it, Lieutenant. Scout's honor.
You were never a scout.
Oh yeah, I forgot. By the way, how's that doozy of a wife of yours?
Swell if you count the fact she's got me sleeping with Fido again. How about you? You still making the bad choices with the dames?
Is there any other choice but bad?
Good point. Women.
Yeah, women.
You can't live with them.
And you can't live with them.
It began when the world was a pebble, and Adam was one happy cat. Life was swell, I believe, till he hooked up with Eve. Then he soon smelled a rat after that. But she said, I got something forbidden, and I dare you to give it a bite. So he gave it a whack, and the Lord said, Hey Mac, I want you and the dame packed and out by the night.
So what do we learn from this lesson that tells how a guy took a fall?
Are we wise to anything at all?
You bet! Dolls, they always pull the strings. Dolls decide the fate of kings. We think they're more defenseless than little lambs.
But watch 'em knock us senseless when they go flashing their gams.
Dolls could sink a battleship. Dolls could make a denture slip. Compared to them, we're all just dummies made of wood. Those dolls got us for good.
Brother, you ain't kidding.
You're telling me. Have we all heard the legend of Samson? A lug who could drop kick a horse. No palooka, he'd win every fight he was in. And his locks were the source of the force. Then one day a hot dish named Delilah suddenly got in his hair. So sweetie, she said Sammy, your curls were meant strictly for girls. So she snipped them all off and the fella got weak.
So what does a Joe get by listening to stories like this that we tell?
What's the line of goods we're trying to sell? I'll tell you, dolls, they got us by our tails. Dolls, they're hammers with nails. We'll laugh at any sister who tries to flex.
But who's the weak one, mister, when they're withholding the sex?
Dolls could stop Niagara Falls. Dolls could break our billiard balls. Nobody acts about it, but it's understood. Those dolls got us for good. We'll claim each dame is flighty,
As long as she's not in her nightie.
those dolls got us. It's torture us. Those dolls got us for good.
And that ain't good.
Now, I usually wouldn't trust the cops in this town to find the hits on Mae West. But eventually, the police got a brainwave that Johnny Blaine had a wife named Charlotte, who just happened to be a redhead and who just happened to be a knockout. They picked her up.
Lieutenant, how many times do we have to go over this?
truth out of you. Now, you were telling me about you and your husband.
My husband was staying at the Belmont. I went up to his room. We got into a little disagreement. I left to go see a movie. End of story.
And what was the title of the movie, Mrs. Blaine?
Kiss of Death. It was at the Rialto. I happen to like Victor Mature.
No doubt. Interesting title for a movie, don't you think?
Oh, yes, Lieutenant. Very interesting. Why don't you arrest me because I saw a movie with a bad title?
My, we're getting a little testy, aren't we? I hope you haven't been all that inconvenienced by this, have you?
Oh, no, Lieutenant. I can't think of a better way to spend 3 hours. Unless, of course, it's sitting in a dentist's office with a strange hand on my blouse and pliers to my tooth.
How's that chair, Mrs. Blaine? Comfortable? A little hard or warm enough?
It's ducky.
How'd you like one with a heater on it? A nice, big, fat heater, the kind that can fry up an egg in about 5 seconds. Now let's review what we have so far, shall we?
Oh, goody.
A, a dozen people place you at the scene of the crime, and B, you have the perfect motive. So unless you can convince me that Tinkerbell flew in through a crack in the window harboring a grudge, you've got yourself one big problem, lady.
You seem pretty sure of yourself, aren't you, Lieutenant? But has it ever occurred to you that I just might be telling the truth?
The truth? Well, as my grandmother used to say in Ireland, the truth has a million faces, but only one nose.
What does that mean?
I have no idea. But the bottom line is, I don't believe you. So we're going to take 5 minutes, and we're going to review everything we have so far from the top. Now, Mickey, what are you doing here? Are you shadowing me all of a sudden?
She's my client, Bill.
Your client? Well, that's just dandy. I suppose that's why you dumb it up on me at the Belmont, huh?
Any detective worth his salt protects his clients, Bill. You ought to know that.
Sure. Now, I also know about police business. And when it comes to murder, your confidentiality doesn't mean beans. If I find out you're covering for her, I'll throw the book at you and make it stick.
Lieutenant, why don't you take that broom out of your tail? You might just feel better.
You got 5 minutes, Weisenheimer.
Hello, Mrs. Blaine.
Mickey, am I glad to see you? I hope I didn't get you in any trouble back there.
Trouble's my middle name. You never called me.
I know. And I'm sorry, but can you imagine the state of mind I was in when I found out about what happened to Johnny? And now the police have some crazy idea that I'm the one that killed him.
Well, didn't you?
No, I could never do that. Even if he was a two-timing rat, I still loved him.
Oh, sure, you loved him. Loved him enough to feed me a trumped-up story. Loved him enough to play me for a snack. Loved him enough that you let me sniff him out for you until you could get your dainty little claws around his neck.
It's not like that. It's not like that at all.
Yeah, then what is it like?
I know who killed John.
I'm listening.
There are things I'm ashamed of. Things I wish had never happened, but have you heard of Lars Vanderbeck?
A nightclub owner, the Medusa? So what?
I know Lars.
Yeah? And?
He's a monster. Anything he wants, he takes, and he takes everything, even your soul if you've got one. Do you think for 1 second the police would ever believe me? Who do you think owns the police? It wasn't supposed to happen, but I was at the Medusa that night and I overheard Lars and his trained ape, Harry the Zipper.
If my memory serves me correctly, I believe I gave you explicit instructions 5 days ago to eliminate certain John Blaine. Yet I've been told he remains vertical. What is that?
Because I get the feeling you don't appreciate me very much.
Harry, I'm gobsmacked.
I mean, I go out there and I get my fingers dirty so others can remain clean. And it's never, good job, Harry, or that was a nice hit, Harry. There's just a lack of appreciation, you know what I mean?
That's rubbish. I positively appreciate you. In these days of mediocrity, skilled labor is quite difficult to find. And though many are called, few are chosen. Fewer still ever reach the pinnacle of their craft as you have. Perhaps someday others will even sing your praises.
No.
Absolutely. I know exactly what I would say. I've got a little story that's somewhat strange and glory about a man who loves his night. He sticks with gents and ladies and sends them straight to Hades. It's awful, yes, but such is life. He started as a nipper who took a shiny clipper from every cat he could not drown. Then he discovered sabers, and after all his labors, there were no doggies left in town. Harry is not like Tom or Dick, oh, Harry is such a lunatic, no one has ever denied.
I'm good with homicide.
One night when he was stalking some crazy dame out walking, he tripped upon a cold steel blade. He clutched it and grew weaker, and then he yelled,
Eureka! With this, I think I got it made.
He tried it out on Clancy, a waiter from Delancey, and felt just like a boy at play. Then quickly followed Sally, a beggar in the alley, who never saw the light of day. Harry ain't just a dumb gorilla. Harry is such a big magilla that now he's part of the club, which features Beelzebub. He made a hit on Gino, who ran a fat casino, then put out Willie in South Philly too. And as for three-armed Sammy, who blisters in Miami, well, without fingers, what's a thief to do? He bumped up Huey, one-eyed Suey, Bugsy, Muggsy in St. Louis, Sean and Jaime, Pearl and Soul and Ben. The numbers seem to vary, but it's extraordinary to think of those who's hidden and well, what a bloody accomplishment. That's my little story, a tale of sordid glory, about a madman, some might say. So if you ever spot him, you better move your bottom, or something sharp will come your way. Harry is Hyde without his Jekyll. Harry is life's a little freckle that you can't cover with cream. He's everyone's worst dream.
wanted you, Mickey, to find Johnny so I could warn him about Lars and tell him that if he didn't get out of town and fast, Lars would be the one to find him. At least, that's what I tried to do. Johnny, you're not listening to me.
Okay, listen, this really isn't a good time, Charlotte. I'm expecting a really important phone call.
An important phone call? Are you kidding me? It took me nearly everything I had trying to find you if you suddenly left me at the drop of a hat. What kind of a man are you anyway?
For crying out loud, just give me a break! Would you, Charlotte? Listen, baby, okay, I want to help you, okay, but I can't. Okay, I have to be alone to take this phone call.
You got the integrity of a Spam sandwich, you know that? Listen to me, Johnny. Somebody else is looking for you. Somebody who's not going to slap you when they catch up to you. They're going to hurt you, Johnny. They're going to hurt you bad. Almost as much as you hurt me. Hurt me. Hurt me. I'm telling you, Mickey, this whole thing has been an absolute nightmare from the very start of it all.
Have you a dream you're dreaming? Some little scheme you're scheming? Welcome to the wicked city blues. Do lurking strangers taunt you? While sounds of laughter haunt you? Hey pal, that's old wicked city news. Here there is no tomorrow, no clock, no time to borrow or steal, to heal your fallen heart that keeps on beating though it's ripped apart.
Harry must have gotten to Johnny after I left the hotel. Maybe he even trailed me to get to him. You start off sweet as berries, and life's a bowl of cherries, until somebody turns the screw.
That's when you walk the mean streets, the dark and more obscene streets, that bend or break you as they
You
choose.
gotta believe me, Mickey, I could never hurt anyone.
And love, that's the riddle. Like Nero with his fiddle, we crave and pave our roads to hell with crimson visions we think are swell.
Miss Blade, we checked out your alibi. Nobody saw you at the Rialto.
Sure, it's funny, fate is fickle. 20 grand gets you a nickel when the guy in black with a sickle crooks a finger.
Back the movie you claimed you saw, and it is run 3 days ago.
Maybe you're kind to trust it. Maybe your world gets busted. Too soon you learn life's not a cruise.
You lied to us, Miss Blade.
And so the lies get bigger until you pull the trigger to kill the sad truth you abuse.
Everything in this crime points to you.
Once you
That's because we're about to begin the dramatic conclusion of Wicked City Blues. But, lest we forget, when you're stuffed, you've got a pal. Whip Colamint. And now, once again, we return you to the Neptune Theatre Mystery Hour and Wicked City Blues.
Any guy in his right mind would have let well enough alone or even walked 1,000,000 miles to get away from the kind of dame who traipsed into my office. But not me. No one could ever accuse me of being in my right mind. Especially not after Charlotte gave me the song and dance act in the police station. How, after Johnny left her, she pounded the pavement, searching every bar and every beer hall for a job singing. And how it all amounted to the tail end of a dog. And how that all changed when she heard of a certain mucky-muck nightclub called the Medusa. She was good, all right. So good, I almost believed her.
Mrs. Worthington, I'm delighted that you're gracing the Medusa with your exquisite company.
Oh, Mr. Vanderberg.
And may I add, it's not that common that we get the presence here of such a beautiful lady.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Vanderberg. Excuse me, could you tell me where I can find the manager?
You know, if there's one thing that really bites my polo pony, is somebody who just barks in and interrupts me in the middle of what I'm doing. Now,
I'm sorry, but I was only asking a question.
no, you're not sorry. You're downright irritating.
Hey, wait a second. Who do you think you are, buddy? The King of England? You're pretty irritating yourself, Buster. In fact, why don't you take that polo pony of yours and stick it right up your hat?
Feisty now, are we?
You had it coming.
Mrs. Worthington, would you excuse us?
Oh!
I like women with spunk. Would you care to dance?
What?
Come on. Where's that fire I saw in your eyes a minute ago? Life isn't fun for a coward. It's dull when you follow the crowd. Never stepping out of line, never drinking the wine. There's no snap when your head's in a cloud. Those who are ivory towered spend their days like a chimp in a zoo. Now I'd stumble through a fire and I'd tumble on a wire if it meant some time with you.
There's danger about your smile. There's danger about your style. A danger that says, hey there, beware of this cruel crocodile. I've heard one shouldn't play with things that burn.
But if one never plays, then never will one learn.
There's danger about your face, a danger not commonplace.
But willing to take a chance and glance at such taboo.
Well, maybe I'll compromise to look at your tempting eyes. I'll jump in the enterprise of danger about you.
I think we got started on the wrong foot, didn't we? Tell me a little about yourself.
Well, I'm a singer.
A singer? Any good?
I think so.
How did you end up here?
Well, before I was so rudely interrupted, I was looking for the manager to ask for an audition.
Well, it just so happens I know people who might be able to pull some strings.
Really?
We can come to some kind of arrangement.
There's danger about your
What danger's about?
a danger not commonplace.
Whence life ever come?
I'm willing to take a chance and glance at such taboo.
Everything is taboo.
With safety I'll compromise.
As you should be.
To look at your tempting
You're jolly
eyes.
goody.
I'll jump in the
featured show, starring that smoldering blaze of spontaneous combustion, that scorching, scalding furnace of fire, that razzling, bedazzling mistress of desire you've all been waiting for. It's time now for Club Medusa's world-famous musical extravaganza show, Exotica.
In China they yearn for an egg roll. Get it. And Australians go bonkers for beer. That's what I hear. While New Guineans would dread a full smorgasbord spread, they prefer a nice head on a spear. Dear, no rolling, says basta to pasta. And the Brits crave their crumpets and tea. The Finns favor their fish, since it's their only dish. But that's not what you'd wish for in Paris. If you buy Chancellor France, it's toujours l'amour. You can't ignore l'amour. You must adore l'amour. Even unrequited love you can't afford. For there is always more, so c'est la vie. As long as France has romance, it's toujours l'amour. We all implore l'amour to set us free. I give you more l'amour than anyone before. You'll have toujours l'amour with me. Ooh, l'amour, true l'amour, new l'amour. Should we pursue l'amour? May we? C'est magnifique, c'est fantastique, c'est la folie. C'est si très bon, mon ami. And now for a brief history of love. Caesar thought he had a grasp on Cleopatra and her ass. Helen sank 1,000 ships because they say she had loose hips. You could hear King David howl when Bathsheba dropped her towel. Romeo drank to his goil and shuffled off that mortal coil. No Marquis de Sade with quip, you can't make love without their whip. Esmeralda, no one's chump, preferred a guy who had a hump. Fay left her nice cabana for King Kong and his banana. Josephine felt slightly blue when Bonaparte went to the Louvre. Waterloo. As long as France has romance, it's toujours l'amour. We all implore l'amour to set us free. I'll give you more l'amour than anyone before. You'll have toujours l'amour with me. You'll have toujours l'amour with me. Parlez-vous français? Non, c'est la guerre.
Ours really did a number on her. Throwing around minks and pearls, turning her head every which way, and throwing around cash like it was going out of style. She said he was a real Prince Charming at first, But after a while, some of the frog started to come out.
Ha! Mrs. Worthington. Forgive me for calling you up in the office like this, but I think I should make you aware that certain parties at the Medusa witnessed you pocketing some of our Reed and Barton silverware. Is that true or false?
When my husband died, he left me a large portion of the estate. Now you tell me what I would have to do with your flimsy silverware. I mean, I might have taken some matches, but just as a souvenir.
Of course. Harry, I want you to frisk Mrs. Worthington, but be a gentleman about it.
As gentle as the spring rain.
I see what you mean, Mrs. Worthington. How could I not have noticed? They do look exactly like matches, don't they? Break her fingers, Harry.
No, wait, no. I just started playing piano again, please, no.
Look on the bright side, Mrs. Worthington. At least you won't have to tackle Rachmaninoff.
Lars, what was all that screaming about?
Charlotte, darling, how was the show?
Lars, what was all that screaming? And don't tell me there's the radio playing again. There's no radio in here.
Oh, darling. This is one game I don't think you ought to play. You have such a pretty head on this lovely neck of yours. I would positively detest myself if anything happened to it.
Are you threatening me?
Of course not, darling. But your petulance and insolent behavior demand some retribution. Therefore, as of tomorrow, I'm taking you off as the featured performer of the Medusa. I hope you're satisfied.
Lars, I can't stand it any longer. I'm leaving you. Now, right this minute.
That's where you're wrong, dear. Dead wrong. Nobody leaves me. At least, not alive.
You're crazy, that's what you are.
Crazy now, am I? Darling, you don't know half of it. I want to tie you up like punch on the chain and make you drink all me pink champagne. You got no right to complain, 'cause I'm crazy about you. I want to cuff your hands to the rail of the bed until you wean me like a thoroughbred. Can't you get it through your head that I'm crazy about you? Don't you think it's evident that fate chose me to be your gent? I'd even ride that instrument, shoes you may well soon be wearing. I want to hold you down on the lock and key and play you like a calliope. So ditch those thoughts of shaking free, 'cause I'm crazy about you. Watch out, Fred Astaire! Don't you think it's rather fair to say we make the perfect pair? What I would do to squeeze your hair
She was stuck, and so were the cops. This was one case that they thought was open and shut. But in reality, it had more holes in it than a certain Billy Banana Lips after a certain Valentine's Day massacre. But cops, still being who they are, picked her up and put her in a lineup where they got a whole lot of nothing. No ID, no weapon, no fingerprints. So, naturally, the attorney I found her got her released, and just as naturally, she was asked not to leave town, still being the prime suspect and all. But that's when I had the bright idea to bring her back to my place for safekeeping. But first, we had to take the shaky elevator ride to the 3rd floor, then go down the long hallway that smelled like somebody's dead great-grandmother, and then, finally, the regal dump I called my home.
Oh, do all the apartments have fold-down beds in the living room?
No, just the deluxe ones, like mine.
Your place certainly seems very, historic.
I think prehistoric might be more like it.
Mickey, I never really thanked you for getting me a lawyer and everything, and I just wanted to say...
Charlotte, why didn't you level with me from the very beginning,
Mickey, it's so complicated.
Then uncomplicate it.
All right. Well, the reason I didn't tell you about Lars at the start was I didn't want to get you involved.
Lady, I don't know what language you're speaking, but I like hearing it in plain English. I was the guy involved from the get-go, remember? And you were the one who got me involved, remember?
I remember. And I thought if I could just warn Johnny, then that would be that, but... Well, then something happened.
Yeah? What?
Well, to tell you the truth, I think I only understand it now myself. Only now have I something to live for. In these restless times, I've been drifting at sea. Yes, only now am I eager to live more.
told Charlotte it was safe for her to stay at my place and call me crazy, but I also left her one of my guns, just in case, you know, for safety. But then I told her it was time for me to get down to business, so she should stay put. It was time for me to track down Lars and Harry. But just then, that's when I began hearing the police bulletin out of my ham radio. It was saying something about Lars Vanderbeck and the location of his mansion. I drove right over.
Well, what do you know? I was just about to call you.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, that depends. You like making smaller rocks out of bigger rocks?
Want to give it to me once more without all the double talk?
Oh, I'll give it to you in spades. We just wheeled out the guy from the joint with a small tunnel in his chest. Does the name Lars Vanderbeck mean anything to you? The gun that was used on him for target practice has a real interesting pedigree. B749826. Sound familiar?
Yeah, I think I won a bingo game with those ones.
Ixnay, pal. We traced those numbers, and it turns out it belongs to somebody with the same name as you. Pretty funny, isn't it?
I'm holding my sides.
Oh, there's more. The prints that we lifted off that gun have Charlotte Blaine written all over it in Technicolor.
Maybe the gun fell out of my back pocket.
And maybe I'm Jimmy Durante's nose. We put out a warrant for that dame, and now you're in it up to your keister, pal. So don't get smart with me. Off the record, Mickey, how many years we known each other? 20, 25? I realize we had our differences, but I always respected you. As a class gumshoe and as a friend. How can you get yourself so mixed up in all this and not see it coming a mile away? I mean, I only hope for your sake he was worth it, if you know what I'm saying. Oh! I could have you hanged for that. But I won't. Because I'm going to get a statement out of you. And then I'm going to get my kicks when they strip you of your license! And one more thing. Vanderbeck was set to be married next Sunday. And his fiancée, Charlotte Blaine. You sorry schnook.
She's more than a dame with baby doll eyes. She's sweet till you cross her, then somebody dies. Oh yeah, she's a softie, she's a regular nun. In fact, you might compare her to Attila the Hun, 'cause she's more than a dame who's playing some game. And me, I'm the sap who just fell in her lap, a moth that went straight for the flame of this dame. Oh, who's more than a dame, much more than a dame. She's a slinking, flirty, stinking, dirty, good for nothing, killer, diller, dame. When I returned to the apartment, she was gone, of course. But I could still smell her by the perfume she wore, which clung to the air like some unwelcome guest. There was a knock at the door, and then another knock. All right, you buster kidney! I opened the door.
Oh, Mickey!
You!
Just hold me!
Why? So I can make it easier for you to stab me in the back?
What?
I told you to stay put.
I know you did, but there was something I needed to do.
Yeah, I'll bet.
You've been drinking.
Yeah, I've been drinking. Any man got a right to drink, especially after he's been lied to and double-crossed and burned by the one he was carrying a torch for.
Just what are you saying to me?
I'm saying I know everything. I know about wars, I know about him being dead, and I know about all the dirty little tricks you've been using to set me up. Oh.
You don't understand.
I understand plenty. I understand that you're the newest pinup girl in every cop car from here to Guam. I also understand I'm not taking the fall for you. I'm taking you in.
All right, Mickey, if that's the way you want it. But before you hand me to the vultures, give me half a chance to tell my side of it.
Why should I?
Because you're wrong. I did go to Lars's office, but it wasn't because I missed his company. It was because he had the one thing in this world that could save me and nail him.
The suspense is killing me.
It was a duplicate of all the Medusa's records before they were cooked. Thinking he was at home, I decided to make my move. I took the gun you gave me to open the safety box that held the ledger.
Just what the devil is going on here?
Sure, darling, what a delightful surprise.
And I'm certain I'm going to get equally surprised as to learn the answer to what are you mucking about in my office?
Maybe I'm just looking for my tutu.
Of course, your tutu. You don't have tutu.
Well, that explains my not finding it then. Get your hands up!
Oh, darling, aren't we being a bit melodramatic?
Don't kid yourself. This gun is big and hard, and I know just how to use it.
I'm sure you possess the skills of any Oakley. Good show, Harry. Jolly good show. I believe this rather concludes our engagement. I'm sorry it was so brief, but that's modern romance. Pull the trigger, Harry.
Wow, what a stab. You know, he never even knew what hit him. But it just goes to show you, you gotta be smart to play dumb. Isn't that right, Uncle Lars?
Uncle?
Yeah, once removed. Although now I guess you could say twice removed, huh? You see, my uncle was the kind of guy who had every teeny detail figured out. That is, except me. Playing dumb and biding my time waiting for the perfect moment. And now, being his sole surviving relative, I get everything that was his, including the Medusa. Everything's going strictly according to Hoyle.
It is?
Yeah, I don't know, except maybe you.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. It may not seem fair, but who said that life was, well, you know. Santa Claus is just a fat boy, baby. But who said life was a Broadway too? Strike out once and you're the bad boy, baby. And maybe you can swing at the ball next June. Fairy tales are all baloney, baby. So boo-hoo, life ain't a blue lagoon. Life's as cheap as rice-a-roni, baby. In one snap, it bursts like a toy balloon. It's a tough haul if you weaken. It's a tough haul if you down. But the faucet keeps on leaking. Trouble never stops. And it won't. Sermons are a bunch of hooey, baby. Unless you're a dumb baboon.
Medusa, and I end up getting fingered because my prints are on the gun. That's why he let me go.
You talk a good game, lady, but for I'm standing you and me without any kind of evidence doesn't amount to much of anything.
I thought you and me meant something.
Yes, but without substantial evidence, you and me and a nickel couldn't get a ticket on the subway.
Then here, maybe with this we can catch a cab.
Oh, McNulty's about the only one on the force I could trust with something like this. Okay. I'm willing to make a go of it one more time. But I swear, if you are fooling me, I'm coming after you myself.
Mickey?
Keep the door locked.
Hello, operator. Yes, operator, can you connect me with the Medusa? Oh, hi, Helen. Is Harry there?
Well, when I handed McNulty the story about Harry framing Charlotte, he gave me a look. It was the kind of look you might give someone after you, saw them acting like Pinocchio and you saw their nose break a overhead ceiling fan. But after I handed him the ledger, that glazed over look on his face began to fade. I got up and left, having other fish to fry, like Harry. But before you fry a fish, first you've got to find them and reel them in. My inquiries led me to an abandoned warehouse on the docks, where the sound of a foghorn filled the night air. The boardwalk creaked like dried bones under my feet. I reached the blood-rusted door of the warehouse and went in. There was a lone light bulb, barely clinging to the ceiling for life. I took a few steps forward, and then suddenly, I was plunged into darkness. I couldn't see, so I walked forward, blindly. I pulled out my gun, and then... Meow. It was just a cat. But then I heard something. Harry. I fired 2 slugs. Did I hit him? And then he was on me with a blade against my neck. I kicked it out of his hand, but I took a knee to my gut. I grabbed his wrist and slammed him into an oil heater. A flame shot out, which became a wall of fire. Knuckles met flesh as the fire edged closer, and the whole place went up like the world coming to an end!
Open up the door, Mrs. Blaine. It's the police.
Lieutenant? Well, I can't say I'm pleased to see you again.
Well, I suppose that makes us about even, because I didn't come here for pleasure. I came here because I have bad news.
You're here to arrest me, aren't you?
Arrest you? Mrs. Blaine, I think you might have gotten the wrong idea about things.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the question of your innocence. When Mickey first handed me the idea of you coming to him with a ledger, the first thing that came to my mind was booby hatch, because, well, it came from you, and for my money you were strictly poison.
Nice to know the police are so objective.
I'm not finished. When Helen Sims called my office that afternoon, everything changed. She told me how you called her at the Medusa, which prompted her to blow the whistle on Harry Zipperman, who mouthed off to her about how he was going to kill her like he did Vanderbeck and your husband. And that got me thinking. So I went back and looked at the ledger. And everything fell into place. Zipperman's connection to Vanderbeck, Vanderbeck's connection to illegal gambling operations, and finally his connections running all the way to the mayor's office, including the police commissioner. The bottom line is, you're officially off the hook.
Is this some kind of a trick?
No, Mrs. Blaine, I'm absolutely on the square 100%.
Then you can't know how glad I am to hear you say those words.
No doubt.
Maybe now Mickey will finally believe me when I
Mrs.
tell
Blaine,
him.
the bad news I'm here about, it's not you, it's Mickey.
Mickey, why? What's happened? Is he hurt? Is he all right? He's dead, isn't he?
There was a fire and an explosion. This was all they found. That and a knife. I know he was stuck on the knoll. I'm sorry, Mrs. Blaine.
Why do we have to lose what we have before we know what it's worth? Mickey, I'll cry for you. I'll cry for me. I'll cry for what we should have had, but what couldn't be. Only fools would say that rain comes now and then, when what they've lost they'll never kiss again. I'll cry for all we might have known. We could have shared a million nights, but now I'm alone. Since we both kicked around love as broken people do, I'll cry for me. I'll cry for you. Cold, grim, gray days, I've had my fill, but who stops to notice a thing? The world keeps turning as this world will, but it feels like it's winter in the spring. I'll cry for words we left unsaid, and for the should have beens that'll pound like drums in my head. Maybe I once had my doubts and said you're not my cup of tea, but I was wrong. From A to Z, it's tea for one, not two. The tea leaves will agree. I'll cry for you. I'll cry for
Now, I have to admit, things at the moment are looking a little bit less than festive, particularly because I'm supposed to be the one taking the dirt nap in the Deep Six. But, as you may have learned, here in the Wicked City, appearances can be deceptive. I believe somebody's got my hat.
Mickey! But I thought you were...
Dead? That makes two of us. I'm told that a fisherman picked me up out of the river and rushed me to the hospital where I came to.
Oh, poor Mickey.
Could have been worse. I could have been Harry. I'm sure he's giving a couple of mackerels right now one heck of a case of indigestion.
Oh, Mickey, you can't know how glad I am to see you.
Charlotte, I've got to be on the level with you. This whole thing was a setup.
What do you mean, a setup?
I mean, I was listening right outside the door when the lieutenant told you I was dead.
Well, I think it stinks what you just did.
Fair enough. But you're the one who made George Washington look like the boy who cried wolf.
Oh, it's all a joke to you, isn't it? All right, I'll play along. Did I manage to pass your test?
You still don't get it, do you?
Get what?
what this whole thing's been about from the beginning. It's about trust. And lady, if trust was a two-way street, you've been strictly a one-way road from start to finish.
Mickey, that isn't true. You're twisting everything around.
Yeah? Then prove me wrong.
Well, all right, maybe I have been less than honest. But I never lied to you about the way I felt about you, or about what you meant to me.
How do I know that?
I think that's something you either believe or you don't. Do you believe it, Mickey?
I don't know. I don't know.
Then I guess there's nothing else I can say or do to change anything, is there?
I guess not.
I'll get my coat. Goodbye, Mickey.
Wait. Only now can I trust what I'm feeling. Funny how those doubts that curse me are gone. For only now my mind is revealing the truth all along. I've had it wrong, but I can't change the past. It's past, so let's move on. Only now can I trust what I'm feeling. Seeing how I've lived, self-contained as a clam. For only now my heart is revealing the truth all along. I've had it wrong, but only now. Yes, I feel the way I feel, true as a vow. It's only you,
Only us.
only now. It's only you,
It is you.
and it's true
Only you.
as a vow. It's only you, only us, and only
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of Wicked City Blues for the Neptune Theatre Mystery Hour. And don't forget, when you're stuffed, you've got a pal. With Colamint. Please join us again next week for another exciting adventure. Until then, this is your host, Franklin Delano Fergus Hoppenter, wishing you the best of tomorrows. And don't forget, don't